Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Brigade. My name is Bryan and today we're doing the back or skip episode, which has been a while since we've done this. Generally we do it every 2 weeks, but I went on some vacation. We also had my daughter's birthday, so I have not had a chance to record this episode. So we're going to be covering basically Kickstarter campaigns. These are the main ones that I'm most interested in that are active right now, and we're going to be talking about whether I'm considering backing or skipping this one, and maybe give you some of my recommendations if these are games that are on your list and you're looking at them. So let's dive in right now to the first campaign. Okay, first on the list, I have Merchant's Cove Mastercraft. And this one, I really want to talk about what Merchant's Cove is before we really talk about the expansion, because I think that's really the most important part. Merchant's Cove is a asymmetrical game where each player will be taking on a different shop owner. And you're going to be playing a small mini game that's been doing this a lot lately. I got to really stop doing that. But they're going to be doing a small mini game that basically is how are you going to be generating your product and merchandise that you're going to sell to the people that are going to be visiting, and that's what they have on these boats. So basically, the most important part about Merchant's Cove, I don't own the base game of Merchant's Cove, so I skipped this in the first campaign, and so now I have an opportunity, obviously, to come here and back this again, pick up more content, and personally, I'm skipping this one, and I'm going to tell you why. First off, I feel like Merchant's Cove is very ambitious. I think it's bringing a lot of cool things to the space. I think all the mini games work really well, giving players an opportunity to play almost like a new game with each faction you're playing. But my experience with games like this is that it becomes kind of like a multiplayer solitaire game where everyone's kind of just doing their own things. And yes, there are ways where you can interact with the board, which affects everyone else. But because we're all kind of doing something different, if I don't know exactly how your faction plays, I really don't know if what you're doing is right or wrong, and who knows. I also have found that these kind of games have a long time to teach because everyone's going to learn their own faction. I had the same problem with Root, and if people don't all know the faction, sometimes it can just be a mess. So that's why I passed on Merchant's Cove. Mastercraft is back. I will say this, Merchant's Cove, from everyone I've talked to that owns the game, that are my personal friends, they really enjoy it, and it fits well into their theme, into their family unit in terms of like what they do. But I have heard people say that over a while, even before they've played all of the available current merchants, it does start to lose its appeal because it's not as heavy or deep as they thought it would be. So these are other reasons why I have personally skipped. Mastercraft is going to bring some more mechanics, some more modules, as well as more merchants for people to explore. I think if you are looking for a medium complexity game that offers different types of asymmetrical activities, where you're basically playing a bunch of different types of games like roll and write and dice rolling, set collection. It's a whole bunch of different types of things that you're going to be doing with each merchant. If that sounds interesting to you, playing a bunch of different games, I think Merchant's Cove is a good back, but for me personally, I'm skipping this one. The next game we're covering is Forsaken, and this is actually by Game Trays, the guys who are known for their inserts, that they basically have been a third-party company doing inserts for people. Well, they decided to make their own game, and Forsaken, it's actually kind of hard for me to like describe what this game is from the Kickstarter page. I had to like watch a lot of videos, really understand what it is, but it seems like it's a narrative game with using some Western theming, where players are going to be traversing through these different types of planets, interacting with different story elements, and it's really kind of a choose your own adventure where things are going to happening, and because in the way you make your decisions based on the cards and the interactions you provide, you're going to be guiding your path. I enjoy those kind of games. The last one I purchased was a miss for me, and that was Waste Nights. That one was unfortunately a failure for me because the writing wasn't as strong as I want. And that really is the crux of many of these games, is you're going to be putting so much writing into the game. Is it going to support as much narrative campaign story as you want? From what I'm seeing, it looks like Forsaken is going to be another game I'm willing to take a shot on. And I know that by backing this one, I'm going to be able to support my coverage. Like, the game is going to be, it's going to cover itself. So if you're worried about like Is this going to be for me? I'm not so sure. Know that you could potentially sell this on the secondary market and get your money back at the minimum. So that's one of the reasons why I am going to be backing for sake. Dune, War of Arrakis. Arrakis. I think I got it right this time. Yeah, I had some people make fun of me in my last video because I don't know how to say words. So I'm trying my best. But anyways, Dune, War of Arrakis is a game by Simon. I am currently backing this game. I talked about this in my Should You Back video. Dune is a game where it's a 2 to 4 players, but we like to call it a 2-player game, where you're going to be basically doing a battle on the desert planet of Dune. You're going to have one player playing the Harkonnen, the other player playing the I want to say Fremen, but it's not just the Fremen, the Atreides. And basically, it's an asymmetrical game, but uses very similar components. So when I say asymmetrical, it means the red player here, the Harkonnen, are going to have more forces. They're going to have more dice for actions. The green player, the Atreides, has less forces, less dice for actions. So they're going to be doing similar things with those dice, but they're going to be doing it in different ways. And they have different things that they're kind of aiming for. Very similar to War of the Ring, if you've played that. In fact, this is the same designer for War of the Ring. And basically, War of the Ring is one of my favorite games of all time. It's in my top 10. And that game, though, has a lot of problems because of its age. It's definitely showing itself. So Dune is a reimagined, re-envisioned, and mechanically fixed version of that, but with a different IP. So if you like War of the Ring, or if you like Lord of the Rings, that IP might work well, but if you like Dune, this could work well for you as well. I'm backing this because I'm very excited for this game, and I did talk about some of the things I was looking for. They've added a Spacing Guild expansion, which is okay, but the big one I'm looking for is it's a playmat. I talked about how the board is 2 separate boards put together, and I wasn't interested in that at all. I was like, I really want a playmat. Here's a playmat. It's also very big, so I'm excited for this one. That is Dune. Next one is KeyForge, and unfortunately, with the framing layout of GameFound and Kickstarter being different, this is not going to be as centered as I want it to be on your screen, and I apologize for that. But we'll keep it brief with KeyForge. So you're going to see it's a little off here. But KeyForge is a game that I'm actually really excited for as well. The KeyForge is an older game that was originally launched by Fantasy Flight in 2018. It did really well, and the idea of KeyForge is that there is an algorithm that prints these decks, and every deck is unique, and you can't make modifications for your deck. So this is completely different with a competitive deck builder, because it's not really a deck builder. It's a card playing game, but you don't modify your deck. So your deck's going to have a list of cards in that deck. You take it to a competitive event, or you take it to wherever, and you play against other people's decks, and they're all random decks. You don't know what you're going to play against because they're all procedurally generated. With the pros and cons of that is you could have decks with vastly different power levels. Sometimes your deck could come out and just be a stinker. Sometimes you're going to get a deck that's going to be really good. The average is going to be pretty medium, though. This eventually failed because Fantasy Flight had a hack in their system, and it like destroyed their algorithm. Something happened with their backend security, ruined the algorithm. Game was dead. The game was repurchased by Christian Peterson, who's the original founder of Fantasy Flight. He purchased the IP from Fantasy Flight, and they're relaunching it. So they kind of talk here about, why are we doing a Kickstarter? What are we looking for? Some of these things are red flags, but I also know that KeyForge was an extremely successful game. So they're talking about, we want to see the viability of this game. Are there a lot of people who are interested in this because it's something that we could go mass market with? That's great, but being a Kickstarter backer or a GameFound backer in this instance, we don't know what they're looking for. Are they looking for 10,000 backers? Are they looking for 5,000 backers? We don't know what that amount is to them to deem this as a success. So you're buying into a product that kind of could have limited viability. I don't know. But we do know that the original KeyForge did well. But there's other things to that. KeyForge was really done well by Fantasy Flight because they had support for tournament play at your LGS, where they had awards and promos and monthly events that was supported. I don't know if these new guys, what is the name of the game? Ghost Galaxy, if they're going to be supporting in the same manner that Fantasy Flight did. To talk about the game, back to the point of the video. Am I backing this game? Currently, I'm not. And not to say that I wouldn't or might not, but I'm currently not backing this game. If I were, I'd be looking at one of these smaller camp ones, like the Seeker of Decks. It gives you a variety of decks, gives you 6 decks. I've been told, though, to be minimum, you need 6 decks to really enjoy this, because you want to have variety and switch around with your friends with what you're playing. But I've been told you really want to be kind of closer to that 10 deck mark, so just be aware of that. I thought for a little while this Novice of Crucible might be a good thing. It's a 2-player. You get a 2-player box set as well as some more decks. But wrong thing. I was looking at something else. I searched KeyForge here on Amazon, and I came across another 2-player set right here for $13.39. Normally $15. So you can get it if you really want to know if KeyForge is a game for you. You could order this through Amazon for $14 and try it out. That saves you a lot more than buying this one at $50. Plus the shipping is free if you have Prime. So that's something I want to recommend to you. I am interested in KeyForge as a casual side game I can play with my friends. I currently do Magic the Gathering EDH for that, but KeyForge could also fill that. So I'm currently skipping. I think there's a lot of cool things they're doing here, and I'm excited to see them bring this game back. Am I backing? No, I'm currently skipping. And if I do buy one, it'll probably be on Amazon first to see if it's for me, and then I'll probably late pledge if I want to get some of the new content. The next one we're talking about is Age of Inventors. And I actually did a review for this game. If you're interested in my review, you can check out the link down below. I'll have that down there. But Age of Inventors is a tile-laying game, worker placement, take that, and resource management. There's a bunch of things going on with this game, and I actually really enjoyed my gameplay of Age of Inventors. My biggest criticism to them at the time was the victory points at the end of the game don't coincide fully with the main actions you're performing throughout the game. And when it comes to the 4th round, when you're looking, usually in these Euro type of games, when it comes to the 4th round, you're like, okay, where can I get some extra points? I need to make, it's a final round. I need to make sure I get points. Playing Inventors doesn't generate you. Playing your inventions generates you victory points, or retiring Inventors. But other than that, it's not a lot of ways to find those extra points. And the randomness of some of the generated points, like up here, this the breakthrough book or the retiring Inventors, is kind of random, which I didn't care for. But I did enjoy the game enough that I'm willing to back it for now. So I will be backing Age of Inventors. I also want to support their company. It's a brand new company. They've been very good to work with. I've enjoyed their company, at least through the contacts I've had. So I'll be backing and supporting that company. The last one is the Fox Experiment, and this is by Pandasaurus Games. And Fox Experiment has been kind of having some interesting conversations because of the history and lineage of the story behind this. Basically, this is a game by, I believe, Hargrave, the same gal who did Wingspan, if I remember right. Let me scroll on down here. Of course, it's going to be way at the bottom when I want to see it earlier. Well, whatever. I'm pretty sure the person who did Wingspan is the designer. It's actually probably going to be on the box. Elizabeth Hargrave. Yeah, it's on the box. It was right there at the top. Anyways, the idea of this, the story of this is back in Russia. I'm not sure how long ago. They wanted to see the domestication of foxes, and if they could take foxes and basically make them more domesticated by selectively breeding them, by taking the pups of parents, finding the ones that were the most friendly or enthusiastic around humans, and breeding them continuously and seeing how they provide and how they adapted, and if they would become more tameable or shoot, I can't think of the word. Whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, there has been a history though of that some of these animals were treated fairly poorly. Very inhumane activities were done by the Russians in some of these instances. In fact, Pandasaurus does have a disclaimer at some point right here talking about that, which is very surprising because Pandasaurus is a company I would not think that they would put themselves in a situation that could have that kind of light But regardless, we're going way beyond the scope of the game or the video here, because we're talking about if we're backing or skipping. So the fox experiment is basically, that's the theme. You're breeding foxes, and so basically you're going to be picking different types of mothers and fathers, getting their traits, rolling dice, getting different types of credits, and then you're going to be making a new pup and putting them up on the list. And basically you're trying to see, if you can make the best, most friendly foxes. I have read a lot of reviews from people who played this at the Dice Tower, the event they just held, which is like the Gathering, and mixed reviews. A lot of people loved the game, and a lot of people said it was very fiddly. For me, I'm going to be skipping this one, not because of the theme or anything like that, but mostly because lately for me, my Pandasaurus games have been not a safe back, where the game has not held the value that I'm pledging for, and I can get the game much later after it's been fulfilled for half the price. So that's been reality for me with a lot of my Pandasaurus games. And I can find games like Dinosaur World, which I paid $134 or $127 for like $40. So Pandasaurus games have not been safe backs in terms of maintaining their values, and I'd rather just hold off. So that also gives me an opportunity to see reviews once some of the people that I watch and trust, or even myself getting a review copy if that ever happened. Pandasaurus has never sent me anything, but you never know. But we'll see. I also think it's interesting. They have these heat printed foxes, and I actually think they're worse than these foxes here that are just like the kind of meeple shapes. I think these are way cuter than these heat transfer ones, but that's just me. So that's the last game. So let's go back over to the main camera and wrap this up. So in terms of games, I've got skip on Merchant's Cove. I've got back on Forsaken. I've got back on Dune. I've got a middling effect on KeyForge. It could go either way. I could back the game. I could skip the game. I'd rather buy it on Amazon first and see if it's for me. Age of Inventors, I'm backing that game as well. And the Fox Experiment by Pandasaurus, I am skipping. So hopefully this video kind of sheds some light on what I'm doing for this current bye-week setting here on Kickstarter. Let me know in the Kickstarter comments. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys are doing. Is there anything I should be taking a look at that I'm not looking at? Because right now these are only the games I've really been taking a look at. Let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.